The beginning the space race and the Apollo 11 mission. Imagine a moment when humanity looked to the sky not as an unattainable limit, but as an invitation to the unknown. On July 20, 1969, two men became the first humans to set foot on the lunar surface, accomplishing a feat that seems straight out of the pages of science fiction. Today, we'll explore the incredible journey of the Apollo 11 mission, from the origins of the space race to that historic, small step that forever changed our understanding of the universe. The origin of the space race. To understand the context of the Apollo 11 mission, we need to go back to the 1950s, when the world was divided by the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union, rival powers, competed for technological and ideological supremacy. Space became the symbolic battleground for this contest. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched the first artificial satellite, Sputnik 1, surprising the world and officially beginning the space race. Soon after, in 1961, Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first human to travel into space, cementing the Soviet lead. At the start of this competition, the United States, feeling pressure, decided to up the ante. On May 25, 1961, President John F. Kennedy delivered a historic address to Congress, declaring that the United States would put a man on the moon before the end of the decade. He said, "We should choose to go to the moon, not because it is easy, but because it is hard." This audacious challenge marked the beginning of the Apollo program, a series of missions that would culminate in the lunar landing. Interesting facts and trivia. The name Apollo. The program was named after the Greek god Apollo, associated with the sun and light, symbolizing the search for knowledge and exploration. Colossal investment. The Apollo project cost about $25 billion at the time, equivalent to over $150 billion today, employing over 400,000 people directly or indirectly. Development of the Apollo program. Following Kennedy's speech, NASA began a series of preparatory missions for the lunar landing. Each Apollo mission brought crucial advances. Apollo 7-1968 tested the command and service module in Earth orbit. Apollo 8-1968 made the first human trip around the moon. Apollo 9 and 10 conducted critical tests of the lunar and command modules. In lunar orbit, these missions were essential to ensuring that Apollo 11 was ready for the big leap. The technology developed for the Apollo program included the Eagle lunar module, designed specifically to land on the moon, and the Columbia command module, which would remain in lunar orbit. Fun facts and interesting facts. The lunar module. The Eagle was so light and fragile that it could be damaged by a simple screwdriver, but it was robust enough to withstand lunar conditions. The constant danger. During previous tests, there were serious failures, such as the fatal fire on Apollo 1, which killed 3 astronauts. These incidents reinforced the importance of safety and technical precision. The Apollo 11 astronauts. The Apollo 11 crew consisted of 3 extraordinary men. Neil Armstrong, the mission commander, known for his calm under pressure. He was chosen to be the first to set foot on the moon because of his experience as a test pilot. Buzz Aldrin, the lunar module pilot, a brilliant engineer and advocate for space exploration. He was the second man to walk on the moon. Michael Collins, the command module pilot, responsible for keeping Columbia in lunar orbit while his colleagues explored the surface. Each member of the team played a vital role in the mission. They trained intensely for months, facing rigorous simulations and learning to deal with extreme scenarios. Despite their exhaustive training, they knew that the success of the mission depended on many factors beyond their control. Interesting facts and trivia. The silence of Michael Collins. While Armstrong and Aldrin walked on the moon, Collins remained alone in the command module, orbiting the moon. He said he never felt lonely, but acknowledged that he was the only human being outside of Earth during that period. The name Eagle. The lunar module was named Eagle in reference to the national symbol of the United States. The liftoff and journey to the moon. In July 16, 1969, millions of people watched live the liftoff of the Saturn V rocket, the most powerful ever built. Apollo 11 took off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, carrying the 3 astronauts towards the moon. The journey lasted approximately 76 hours, during which the astronauts fine-tuned the trajectory and prepared for the lunar landing. On board, they faced cramped and challenging conditions, with little room to move and limited equipment. Interesting facts and facts. Record speed. Apollo 11 reached a top speed of 24,000 miles per hour, 39,897 km/h, making it the fastest vehicle ever flown by humans. The space menu. The astronauts' diet included dehydrated foods, such as chicken soup and mashed potatoes, as well as special sandwiches. The landing on the moon. Upon reaching lunar orbit, Apollo 11 separated into 2 parts: the command module Columbia, piloted by Michael Collins, and the lunar module Eagle, commanded by Armstrong and Aldrin. After a tense and eventful descent, Eagle touched down on the lunar surface at 2017 UTC on July 20, 1969. At that moment, the world held its breath, waiting for humanity's next step. Now, we're ready to explore the thrilling moment when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin set foot on the moon and performed historic experiments. The lunar landing and the first hours on the surface. At 2:56 UTC on July 21, 1969, Neil Armstrong slowly descended the ladder of the lunar module and uttered the words that would forever echo through history: "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." In this act, we'll explore the thrilling details of the lunar landing, the first hours on the surface, and the experiments the astronauts performed. The lunar module's tense descent. Eagle's descent was a tense affair. During the last few minutes, the module's automatic systems began to malfunction, forcing Armstrong to take manual control to avoid obstacles on the surface. Fuel was dangerously low, and mission controllers reported that only 20 seconds of thrust remained before a possible failure. Finally, at 2017 UTC, Eagle touched down in the lunar region known as the Sea of Tranquility. Armstrong calmly announced, "Houston, this is Tranquility Base. Eagle has landed." The control room erupted in applause as the world celebrated the historic feat. Fun facts and interesting facts. The landing site. The Sea of Tranquility was chosen because it was relatively flat and safe for landing. The manual control system. Armstrong had to improvise quickly, demonstrating his exceptional skill as a pilot. First words on the moon. Armstrong was the first to exit the lunar module, followed by Aldrin a few minutes later. Both used cameras mounted on the exterior of the Eagle to transmit live images back to Earth. Armstrong described the lunar surface as very finely grounded, almost like powder. Armstrong's iconic phrase, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," was carefully planned, but it also reflected his view of the moment as a collective milestone for humanity, not just the United States. Fun facts and trivia. The American flag. The flag planted on the moon was designed to remain erect, but it eventually fell after the Eagle's departure due to the lack of wind on the moon. Footprints on the moon. The footprints left by Armstrong and Aldrin are still intact on the lunar surface. As there is no erosion in the atmosphere-free environment, the lunar experiments. During their time on the moon, Armstrong and Aldrin performed several scientific experiments, including installing a laser reflector to measure the exact distance between the Earth and the moon. They also collected 47 pounds 21.5 kg of lunar rock and soil samples, which were brought back to Earth for analysis. Fun facts and trivia. The laser reflector. It is still in use today, allowing precise measurements of the distance between the Earth and the moon. The lunar samples. Some of these samples were sealed and remain untouched, reserved for future analysis with more advanced technologies. The return to the lunar module. After about 2.5 hours on the surface, Armstrong and Aldrin returned to the Eagle and prepared for liftoff. The launch was a crucial moment, as any engine failure could have left them stranded on the moon. Fortunately, everything went according to plan, and Eagle rejoined Columbia in lunar orbit. Interesting facts and trivia. The rendezvous in orbit. The rendezvous between Eagle and Columbia was carried out with millimeter precision, thanks to NASA's meticulous calculations. The isolation on Earth. After returning, the astronauts were quarantined for 21 days as a precaution against possible lunar contamination. The legacy of the moon landing was a triumph of science, engineering, and human courage. It inspired generations and proved that even in the face of seemingly impossible challenges, humanity can overcome them with determination and cooperation. Now, we are ready to explore the return to Earth and the lasting impact of Apollo 11. The return to Earth and the legacy of Apollo 11 after their adventure on the moon. The Apollo 11 astronauts returned to Earth as heroes, but the legacy of their mission goes far beyond medals and celebrations. In this episode, we will explore the return to Earth, the cultural and scientific impact of Apollo 11, and how this event continues to inspire humanity today. Re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. Return to Earth was another moment of great tension. The command module Columbia entered the Earth's atmosphere at an astonishing speed, generating temperatures of up to 2760 C. A heat shield protected the astronauts during re-entry, while parachutes were used to ensure a soft landing in the Pacific Ocean. Interesting facts and trivia. The heat shield, it was made of materials specially developed to withstand the extreme heat of re-entry. The rescue. Columbia was recovered by the aircraft carrier USS Hornet, where the astronauts were received with military honors. The cultural and scientific impact. Apollo 11 transformed the way we view space and ourselves. It inspired technological advances such as microchips and lightweight materials, and sparked global interest in space exploration. It also proved that humanity can join forces to achieve great goals. Interesting facts and trivia. The global broadcast. Around 600 million people watched the lunar landing live, making it one of the most watched events in history. The educational legacy. The mission inspired thousands of young people to pursue careers in science and technology. Final thoughts and call to action. Apollo 11 teaches us that even in the face of seemingly impossible challenges, humanity can achieve great things when we work together. May this story continue to inspire you to dream big and reach for the unknown. If you enjoyed this video, please click like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time.